Hello there, this is Christy Lewis at the Lakeport branch of the Lake County Library, and today I'm here with a whole book haul of new adult nonfiction. There's so many to talk about. We've just been getting so many great nonfiction books, especially on history lately, coming into the library that I have to share them with you. First we have The Quiet Americans, 4 CIA spies at the dawn of the Cold War, a tragedy in 3 acts. This is by Scott Anderson, who also wrote Lawrence in Arabia, which was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award and a New York Times notable book. So this has obviously captured some attention. The Quiet Americans is actually an allusion to the book The Quiet American by Greene, which is about Americans in Vietnam. It's rather a pessimistic take. I have not read that novel, but Greene also wrote The Power and the Glory, which is stunning. So I'm sure that The Quiet American is just as stunning and probably more political. Scott Anderson here is writing a gripping history of the early years of the Cold War and the CIA's covert battles against communism and the tragic consequences that still affect America and the world today. This book chronicles the exploits of 4 spies and all of the mishaps that they encounter. Anderson argues that the spies were completely hamstringed by the American government and higher-up officials with very rigid ideologies who ended up ultimately compromising their American values and the tragic consequences of all of that. Anderson brings deep research and lively writing to the table, the same things that made Lawrence in Arabia an international bestseller. Definitely sounds like one to check out if you're into Cold War history. This was published in 2020 by Doubleday Books. The Quiet Americans is available on audiobook for free through the library catalog. Next, we have some maybe lighter fare, How to Astronaut, An Insider's Guide to Leaving Planet Earth by Terry Virts. NSA astronaut and International Space Station commander. Fun! Look at this spine, isn't it pretty? And I really love this cover. It sounds like if you are interested in space and there's not a very high chance of you actually getting there, you want to hear about it from this guy. Colonel Terry Virts had his first NASA mission as a pilot of the Space Shuttle Endeavour. On his second mission, he served as the International Space Station commander, where he performed 3 spacewalks. He's one of the stars and photographers of the IMAX film A Beautiful Planet, and he recently directed his first film, One More Orbit. So, I mean, if anybody's gonna give you the kind of detail that you're interested in hearing about living in space, it's this guy. And you know what? Handy, he wrote a book for you. The back of the book says that he has an eye for the perfect "you are there" details. There's this strange contrast between the mundane details of life in space versus the very steely judgments that you have to make. And it sounds like he talks a lot about that. How to Astronaut was published in 2020 by Workman Publishing Company. I love the paper they used in this. It's hard to describe, but it's just fun paper to turn. How to Astronaut is available on ebook and audiobook for free through the library catalog. Next, let's go with Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard's Killing Crazy Horse. Now, you may know that this is a long-running series by Bill O'Reilly, killing whatever historical figure, and this appears to be the newest. Look at all the killing books. Look at them all. He's got a Killing Jesus Christ one. He's got Killing Patton, Killing England. I mean, interesting stuff. He's a big history buff, apparently. Well, he's the author of 15 #1 bestsellers. So yeah, I mean, if you want some really compelling history, this might be the one for you. I listened to his book Killing Lincoln, and it was very compelling. It was great on audiobook. The main historical characters in this narrative are Sitting Bull, the leader of the Sioux, who is refusing to accept any help or entertain any offers of settling on a reservation. He boldly walks out into battle with bullets flying around him, emboldening his Sioux tribe. Now, Crazy Horse is in control. He's assembling a coalition of tribes far to the north. They are determined to stop the white man's intrusion on the sacred Black Hills in search for gold. And while history tells us who won this fight, General William Henry Harrison, or Sitting Bull's Sioux tribe, the warfare would extend on for decades, and it has lasting consequences on America as a nation today. If you want a fast-paced introduction and a wild ride through the western frontier of the newly created America, this might be a good introduction for you. It's not going to be like the book that I showed you on the Cold War level of detail. It's mostly to get you intrigued, I think. Killing Crazy Horse was published in 2020 by Henry Holt & Company. Killing Crazy Horse is available on ebook and audiobook for free through the library catalog. Next, we have First Principles: What America's Founders Learned from the Greeks and Romans and How That Shaped Our Country by Thomas E. Ricks, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So much praise! This one, out of all the books that I've talked about so far and probably will talk about today, is the one that I most want to read. I'm so interested. A classical education has always interested me, and that is what Ricks talks about in this book. He talks about the classical foundations of thought of America's founding fathers, how they learned, what they read, and how it influenced their decision making in American history. After the 2016 election, Ricks decided to read all the classical stuff that the founding fathers read. There's been a lot of attention paid to like the English philosophers like John Locke that they read that were closer to their time, but actually the founding fathers, according to Ricks, spent a lot more time looking at classical literature and foundations for their ideas. Among them is the Iliad, Plutarch's Lives, the works of Xenophon, Epicurus, Aristotle, Cato, and Cicero. So he follows 4 American presidents: Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison. Their experiences, their distinctive learning styles, and he's able to draw like really arresting and fresh pictures of the men that we thought we knew. So he follows these 4 members of the revolutionary generation from youth to adulthood as they grappled with these ideas. So it's almost like mini biographies of 4 revolutionary presidents, and it's like a thought biography for the 4 of them. And that just sounds so fascinating to me. Thomas Ricks is the military history columnist for the New York Times Book Review, and he's received 2 Pulitzer Prizes as part of reporting teams. This is his 4th consecutive New York Times bestseller. How have I never heard of this guy? His previous books were the Pulitzer Prize finalist Fiasco, The American Military Adventure in Iraq. And his most recent book is Churchill and Orwell, The Fight for Freedom. Okay, I need to read this guy. It's a must. On every page of this jewel of a book, I learned something new. Read it every night if you want to restore your faith in our country, says General James Mattis, U.S. Marine, 26th Secretary of Defense. Okay, wow. Anyone else want to read this one with me? It might be checked out by the time you get here, so go ahead and order it down below using the catalog. First Principles is also available on audio CD, and it may be available on ebook and audiobook a little bit later. It's brand new, so sometimes it takes some time for those to become available to us. This was published in 2020 by HarperCollins. Next, we have a work of political science, which there are several books of political science coming out right now that we just bought, and I don't even know, I can't cover them all, there's so many of them, but I chose this one because it seems like it'll be a popular one. 10 Lessons for a Post-Pandemic World by Fareed Zakaria. He's the best-selling author of The Post-American World. Let's check this out. This book discusses what the world will look like post-pandemic. Fareed Zakaria is the host of CNN's flagship international affairs show, Fareed Zakaria GPS. He's also a weekly columnist for the Washington Post, and again, best-selling author. The whole premise of this book is that Mr. Zakaria almost 3 years ago predicted that one of the biggest threats to Americans' safety and security is germs, essentially. And he sort of references the Ebola situation, how difficult it would be to stop a virus once it started. And he is essentially criticizing America's infrastructure and preparedness for such an outbreak as the one that has now happened. Many people are singing his praises of brilliance and prophetic insight. If you're a fan of CNN or Fareed Zakaria, or you're just interested in pandemic literature, which I know is something that is very interesting to many people right now, this one might be right up your alley. This was published in 2020 by W.W. Norton and Company. Next we have Eat a Peach, a memoir by David Chang. Also with that person. I'm not sure who that is, or what role they have in this book. This unassuming little book is actually written by one of GQ's Man of the Year people and a Time 100 honoree, David Chang. I've never even heard of this guy. He's the chef and founder of Momofuku. He first opened Momofuku Noodle Bar in Manhattan's East Village, and he'd failed at like everything in his life before he opened that first place in 2004. He like served in the line serving ramen and pork bowls to everybody. He was driven by the question, what if the underground becomes mainstream, I guess? So this is the intimate account of a making of a chef and the story of the modern restaurant world that he helped shape. I definitely want to check out his cookbook Momofuku now because ramen is one of my favorite foods in the world. Not like top ramen. I used to eat that, but it makes me feel bad. So I like real ramen. I have not yet found the perfect one, but maybe if I can follow his recipe, it will be perfect. Fascinating stuff. He's received 6 Jane Beard Awards. I don't even know what that is, but I mean, gosh, I definitely have to check out his cookbook now. People have lots of great things to say about him, and his memoir. And I just wanted to finish up with a quick flash of 3 other popular figure type books, kind of like the Fareed Zakaria one. We have the Reverend Al Sharpton's Rise Up, confronting a country at a crossroads. I know he's a big figure in some circles. I believe this is political philosophy, but also more just like a person-focused book, maybe his philosophy. We also have Clan Lands by Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish, which if you've seen or read Outlander, you're probably familiar with these guys. Clan Lands, whiskey, warfare, and a Scottish adventure like no other. And the foreword, of course, is by Diana Gabaldon, who is the author of the Outlander books, so this one's going to be a popular one, I'm sure. And we have The Meaning of Mariah Carey by Mariah Carey. This is a memoir of her life, and she feels like this is the first time she's getting to really speak out her story in depth. So if you're interested in a closer picture of the famous Mariah Carey, this one might be the one for you. If you are interested in checking them out, go ahead and order them. Okay guys, that is it for this book haul of new nonfiction. I hope you enjoyed hearing about these nonfiction books. If you're interested in ordering any of them, just check out down below. I'll have the library catalog linked for you, and there's a video showing you how to use the catalog on this channel. Stay tuned for some more book hauls later in December. Until next time, take care.